Good morning, guys. This is will be week 5, and it will be legislation, which is our last lesson for the delivery like this. We're going to start off before we go into legislation, which actually should be fairly short in terms of me recording today because you've got a research activity to do. So starter activity is looking at motivation. So looking at what we did last week. So what is motivation? The 6 benefits of having motivated employees. What are the different financial rewards? What is the difference between the national minimum wage and the national living wage? And why do you think pay is important? So I'm going to pause it. It's going to take about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes to do this, and then I'll come back and I'll give you the answers. Okay, so here are the answers. So it doesn't have to be exactly what I've said, but it needs to be kind of the same. So what is motivation? Well, it's the willingness to work. So it's the will to work in terms of business. 6 main ways of motivating your employees. 6 benefits of motivating your employees. So we looked last week at high productivity. So they're making more, they're doing more. Low absenteeism, so people aren't going off on the sick. High quality products or service, remember it could be a service as well. A good reputation for the business. High staff retention and low labour turnover, so people stay, they do not go, so you've not got lots of people leaving all the time. And also greater industrial relations. I should say better industrial relations, so I shall go back and I shall change that. It says getter on there. Better industrial relations, okay, so really working with trade unions when they're negotiating terms and conditions and pay and things like that. What are the different financial rewards? Well, you've got salaries, wages, piece rate, commission, fringe benefits, pension, profit share and share option. Now, if you've got all of those, I'd be really impressed. Most people kind of get like about 4. They forget kind of like the share option ones sometimes in the pensions. What is the difference between national minimum wage and the national living wage? Well, it's age. When you are 18 to 24, you'll get the national minimum wage. If you're 25 plus, you'll get the national living wage, apart from if you are an apprentice, because the apprenticeships are on a different pay scale. Why is pay important? Loads of different reasons, but the main one is that actually pretty much everybody is motivated by money in some way or form. To some degree, people are motivated by money, and if they're saying they're not, then I would disagree with that, because they would find it, and I think they would disagree and be demotivated if they didn't get paid for doing their work, or they didn't get paid an amount they thought was fair. Okay, so pretty much everybody's motivated by money in some degree or other. Sometimes it's a really small amount of motivation that is generated by the pay, but if they didn't get paid, I think you'd probably find they'd be quite demotivated. Okay, so give yourself some marks for that. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at legislation. Obviously you can see I've done this just after I've done the other video, because it's Wednesday and it's going to be absolutely massively hot, so please get some sun cream on today. Okay, so you need to understand different pieces of legislations relating to employment law. You need to understand the health and safety laws, and also the effects that laws are designed to protect consumers as well. So it's kind of like a 3-pronged approach. It's kind of like looking at employment, so your workers, employees, and the employer as well. Health and safety as well within the workplace, and also looking at consumers. Now, some of you would have done this already, so this will be a revision. We did it a while ago now, so this will be revision for you. The new students to the course, this will be brand new information, although you will know some of it, because we do have kind of like an interaction, as it were, with law on a daily basis. Well, you do if you are working, and certainly if you've bought products, or things go wrong with products or services, then you would have kind of experienced it, as it were. Okay, so what is legislation? I need you to write this down, because this is a definition. So legislation, in terms of kind of business, as it were, is where the government makes laws in order to control the business's actions to help protect the needs of stakeholders. So stakeholders are people who are interested or affected by the business. So it could be employers, kind of like managers, employees, it could be the government, it could be the local community, it could be suppliers. You know, there are a whole host of stakeholders, but legislation, you know, laws are there to protect and control. Okay, so I'm going to pause it. You need to write this down because it's an important key term. Okay, so this will be a little basic introduction. I will move my little slide thing again because my head is in the way at the moment of the whole website address. Again, remember it's on a separate sheet, so you should be able to get it from there. But this has got some notes and kind of a little video and a test. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it goes to BBC Bite Size. So it'll probably take you 5-10 minutes to do this. So I'm going to pause it and come back to you. Okay, so we're going to start looking at employment law first of all, and the difference between the national minimum wage and national living wage. I will pause this at some point, but you do need to write this down because this is important. I have seen this as an exam question before. It was only worth about 3 marks, but 3 marks can be a grey boundary. So remember, you need to make sure that you have knowledge of every aspect of the specification. So national minimum wage and living wage, it's the requirement of the business to pay a minimum amount of money for the work that is done. Okay. If you are, oh actually the age, I said 18, actually it's 16, isn't it? Remember, some people do leave school at 16, not many, but if you are 16 and you go into full-time work then and part-time work, you do have to get the national minimum wage. So it will differ depending on the type of work that you do, but it is actually 16. I said that wrong. It's 16 to 24, not 18 to 24. That's the national minimum wage. And if you're 25 and over, you will get the national living wage. But remember, if you're on apprenticeship, that is a different pay scale. So write this one down. Okay, so looking at the rates, you will see that it goes up a tiny little increments. It goes up a little bit each year, and at the moment you can see the difference between the apprenticeships, the under 18s, 18 to 20, 24 to 21, and 25 and over. Obviously, I have told you it was 18 to kind of 24, but you do get paid less if you are under 18. So, you know, technically correct, but you do need to make sure you write it down properly. So 16 to 24 is minimum wage. So you can see the differences there. The apprentices get the least amount of work pay. However, remember, they are going to college, they are training, they're getting professional qualifications, and once they finish that, they will go onto a higher wage rate once they've finished. Okay, so write these down. These are current April 2020. They will change next April and they should go up a little bit. Okay, right. What are the benefits? And obviously you do have to, as a business, abide by the law, but what are the benefits and the drawbacks of you not meeting these forms of legislation? So what would happen to the business in a positive way or a negative way if they meet the laws on these types of legislations? You need to have a little think, you need to write it down, and then we'll get back. Okay, so I've got down 4 for the benefits and I've got 4 for drawbacks. So if you've got them, then what you need to do is just add to them or write them down if you've not got them at all. So make some additions if you need to, or add them in if you've not got them. So the benefits are better motivated staff because they're being paid correctly for their work. Increased productivity, so they're making more, whether it's the product or the service. The treatment of employees could enhance their business reputation. So if you treat your employees correctly, then word of mouth, they will tell people, oh, I really love working here. And then you do get a lot of people wanting to go and work for that particular business. It makes it easier to recruit, cheaper as well. Also, it protects your employees from unfair treatment. So if you follow the law and you follow the guidelines from the government, your employees will be treated correctly. It will not be unfair, whether it's hours, whether it's pay, whether it's health and safety, whatever it is, you are going to treat them in the correct manner. Therefore, you shouldn't end up, which we go to drawbacks, breaking the law, and actually you can get large fines. You can go to prison in some respects, but generally it's large fines. So that's a cost implication to the business. It can increase costs actually, which can cut into your profits. So if you've not got your staff being productive and they aren't motivated to work, then they are going to work on the go slow. And actually the products they are supplying and making are not necessarily going to be of great quality. Therefore, you could have an issue with your consumers for that. Again, you're going to get bad publicity. So think of all the businesses that have had bad publicity about the way they treat their staff. You know, Primark, for instance, years ago, about the way they treated their staff when they were employees when they were abroad. However, it was a bit of a contentious issue because Primark didn't necessarily know when they'd gone to go and check these factories about the workers, everything was fine, but when they'd gone, it reverted back to not being treated in the correct manner. So, but there are businesses, Sports Direct, they've been taken to court and in the press about the way they treat their workers. So there are businesses that have been publicly outed for the way that they've treated their employees, and obviously that gives you a bad reputation. And customers will stop using your products or your service. So I think, actually, I don't want to be involved in that business, don't have anything to do with it. So can you write these down for me, please? Okay, now the Equality Act. Now, you don't need to be able to regurgitate every single piece of information on these acts of legislation, but you do need to know the year and what it kind of means. So, the Equality Act legally protects people from discrimination in the workplace and wider society. So you are not allowed to treat people, you have to treat them equally, and you have to treat them, you're not allowed to discriminate, or you're not allowed to treat them differently because of certain things. So if you write down the Equality Act, please, go onto the YouTube clip. It will tell you all about the Equality Act. You do need to write down what it means and how people can discriminate. Okay, so write this down if you've not got it or you want to add it to the one that you've got, the definition you've got. Discrimination is the unacceptable treatment of any individual or group of individuals or termed to be different, or so you think they're different, so you're going to treat them differently. So that actually is classed as discrimination. In the UK, it's illegal for an employer to discriminate against anybody on these bases. So there's lots of reasons how and why you're not allowed to treat people or discriminate people for certain things or certain differences, as you might see it. What I would like you to do is write this down, and on the next slide, I'm pretty sure you need to write down as many ways that you can treat people differently based on a difference of them. So why you think they're different, you know, people say because you are, I'll give you an example, you know, age discrimination, you're too old to do this job, so you're not allowed to do that. So list as many as you can think of. So you've written down your definition. You should now need to have, well, write down as many as you possibly can. I'll give you 60 seconds, and then we're going to come back to what discrimination is in terms of what are the areas of discrimination. Okay, so it's legal to discriminate on the basis of sex. So, you know, females, males, maternity, pregnancy, you are not allowed to discriminate against that. Marital status, whether you're in, you know, or a civil partnership status, disability, race, age, sexual orientation, religion or belief, whether you're part of a trade union, and whether you are a fixed or part-time worker. Again, this is in the way at the moment, so I'll move this and move my little screen underneath the title. So whether you are fixed or part-time, doesn't matter, you get treated equally. Write these down, please. Okay, employees' rights. I would like you to do a little spider diagram. The spider diagram has these elements on it. I would like you to write these down, please. And then we're going to give a little bit more detail for each of those areas. So you've got rights for maternity pay, trade union membership, paying employees, giving them a contract of employment, suitable training, working environment's got to be safe, and allowing employees time off for certain reasons. Okay, we're going to give a little bit more detail. I think it's about 4 slides down on those areas, and you know, the reasons why and what is included in it. There are about 2 or 3 different case studies that I want you to look at. Starbucks is one of them. They are all little video clips, and I want you to make notes on each one. So if I say to you, when we talk about legislation, we get back in the classroom, you know, think about Starbucks. You know, what was the issue with Starbucks? You can say, oh, right, I remember that. That was about this lady that, okay? Okay, so you've watched the video. Hopefully you've got some notes on it. We now need to look at health and safety. Everybody, every employer is liable for health and safety within, for me, the classroom and the wider workspace. For me, wherever you go to work, they have got to be compliant with legislation, okay, and it has to be an ongoing basis. So why do businesses worry about health and safety at work? So there's, why is it that we are so worried about making sure that everything is safe within the classroom for me, or within classrooms for you, or in the wider workspace? Go onto the YouTube clip and please write down some details from that little clip. Okay, so you should have some information about kind of like the Health and Safety at Work Act, and also what it is. So it's preventing businesses putting employees in danger. So it's protecting the workforce and trying to stop accidents in the workplace. So it's trying to kind of like, it's preventing. So preventing any type of damage to employees, danger. Okay, so making sure that you're installing and maintaining your equipment safely, and make sure you've got clothing that's appropriate. Maintaining the workplace so it's not too cold, it's not too hot. Make sure you get sufficient breaks, and now if you do computer science, they will talk about this when they're talking about kind of screen time. Providing protection against dangerous substances, that's called COSH. That is all about, it's COSHH. That's about using and kind of storing and getting rid of any substances that you might work with, so cleaning products and liquids and things like that. Fitting guards on dangerous equipment, so when you do D&T, they will talk about kind of like the safety within the workshop and the guards on the machinery, and also writing and displaying safety policies, so making sure that people are aware, notices, making sure that you've got warning signs, all those kind of things. Make sure areas are taped off. That is with your Health and Safety at Work policy. So you need to make sure that you write down the Health and Safety Work Act and write down just these bullet points, please. So again, why is it that we are so, this will refer back to the video as well, why is it that they are most busy, well, every business really, not all businesses. I've talked to you about Rana Plaza at some point, about why some businesses are really bothered about health and safety. Write down these notes, think about the video you've seen, write down kind of the benefits that they will get from actually working within the law. Okay, so it's safer. So it's a safer workplace, you get fewer accidents, less injuries, people are productive, and actually they want to come to work. People have less time off, because if you have an accident, you can't go to work when you're injured, and then somebody else has got to do the work, productivity falls, mistakes can be made, so people having less time off. Encouraging people to apply for work for the company if they know it's safe. People want to work for a company that looks after people, so that makes your reputation is better. Therefore, it's easier to get people when you've got vacancies, and it makes your recruitment costs cheaper. But it is expensive, so training courses, and they're not all free. Sometimes they are quite expensive to go on, and sometimes if you've got to train everybody, that is an increased cost for the business. If you don't do it, you'll be fined and prosecuted. Sometimes you can actually get closed down. And also you might have to pay compensation. So if you've injured somebody at work, they can claim against you. So it might be a member of the public, it might be one of your employees. Write these points down. You might need to go back actually and pause that, because I forgot to pause it. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to get all your knowledge and we need to apply it to a scenario or a business exam question. Now, this has been in the exam. This is off one of the papers. And what you need to do, remember, it's 4 marks. You need to split it up into 2 areas because it's asking for 2 benefits. So therefore, each benefit would be 2 marks. And therefore, if it's 2 marks, you need to do 2 things with it. So the question is, explain 2 benefits to a business of ensuring the protection of their employees' health and safety. So one benefit is, tell me what it is, this means that. So you've got to explain it. A second benefit is, and then this means. So you're making sure you're explaining the point. You get 2 marks. If you don't explain it, you'll only get 1 mark. Okay, and you'll get 1 mark for each. That's 2 out of 4. It's 50%. Okay. That's like a low pass. So we need to make sure that we are explaining our points. It's mark a minute, really. Might take you a little bit longer, but I wouldn't do any more than kind of like 6-7 minutes. And then I'm going to pause it now and I'm going to come back to it. Okay, right, consumer law. So this is about people who buy your product or your service. So Consumer law is making sure you treat your customers fairly, okay? And there's a number of ways, okay, making sure that your goods and service are described, so they're described as they should be. You can treat them unfairly by things being unsafe, they don't work properly, or you're selling information about customers to other businesses. So you're selling kind of like their buying habits, maybe their details like their emails and all that kind of thing. You're selling it to a third party without asking them. Okay, there's a guide to consumer rights on this video link. You need to listen to it, you need to write down the points. I'm going to pause this and come back. Okay, so consumer laws, there are 4 main areas. Okay, you've got product labeling, you've got sale of products, you've got information technology, so using IT technology, and product safety. Okay, you need to draw this little diagram, and then when I go on to the next slide, it's got more information. Okay, so I'm going to pause this so you've got time to draw this out. Then I'm going to click on to the next page. Okay, so you can see that product labeling has got food labeling regulation, I couldn't even say that, labeling regulations. You've got weights and measures and unfair trading regulations. You've got a sale of products, which is the Consumer Credit Act and Consumer Rights Act. You've got using information, you've got the Computer Misuse Act and your data protection, which you will do these laws if you do computer science. Product safety, you've got the Food and Drugs Act, you've got the Food Safety Act, and you've got Consumer Protection Act. Now, if you listen to the news, you will have heard about the issue with the trade agreement with America to do with food, and UK farmers and farming standards could be an issue, because if we import meat from America, particularly chicken from America, they bleach it, okay, to make it look whiter. Now, a lot of the population have been up in arms about this because of the, is it safe? Is it not safe? We don't allow it in this country. We've deemed it not to be safe to do that. But at the moment, there's laws going through that would allow those type of foods to come into our food production. And it might not necessarily be raw chicken that you buy on the shop floor. It might be chicken that is used in also processed food as well. So you may not even know that you're actually using it. So for me, there's absolutely no way that I would buy that type of product. But that's my only personal opinion. There's a lot of other people say, oh no, it's fine. You buy salad that's been washed in chlorine, or to clean it and to make sure there's no bugs and bacteria and stuff on it. There's no difference. So it depends on how you view things. But at the moment, there is, if you look at the news, go onto YouTube, go onto Google, and you will find some articles, read about it, because actually there's always something in the press about these issues. Data Protection Act, GDPR, we've had, you'll know about that. I've spoken to you about it in the classroom before, where, we aren't allowed to kind of use or keep information about students on our personal devices. Everything's got to be on school, which I totally understand why they do it. But it's things like remembering that you're not allowed to kind of keep information from parents' evening in your laptop bag and things like that. It's lots of little things about information that's got to be kept safe so nobody else can access it, which, I understand that. I'm going to pause this for you so you can write down these other laws which are related to these 4 areas. And then you're going to do a research task, okay? I'm going to show you on the next slide is the next 2 slides actually have got headings, and you need to look at various laws, okay? So I need you to write down these 3 bullet points. Obviously, I'm not necessarily saying it's homework, you're doing it at home anyway, but you do need to get this done, okay? It is really quite important that you get this finished, because there's lots of different laws, and you don't have to know loads and loads of information about it. Just basically what the law is about, basic description, the year it was made, and anything that you think might be important, possibly for an exam type question, okay? So I'm going to pause this for a second to write those 3 bullet points down. Okay, you need to divide your page into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and put these headings on. And then Okay, so all in all, you've got 10 different areas to look at. You need to say what they are, when the law was made, and any additional information you think is important. Okay, so I won't be having any more lessons as far as I'm aware with you, not yet anyway. And hopefully, hope, cross fingers, I will see you in September. August, September. I really, really would like to be in the classroom. Okay, so please take care, please be safe. If you've got any queries, or you don't know anything about something, or you're a little bit stuck on something, please email me and I will get back to you. Take care, bye bye.